The assembly will come to order. The chief clerk will call the roll.
Assemblywoman Anderson, Assemblywoman Benitez-Thompson, Assemblywoman Bilbray Axelrod, Assemblywoman Black, Assemblywoman Brown-May, Assemblywoman Carlton, Assemblywoman Cohen, Assemblywoman Considine, Assemblywoman Dickman, Assemblywoman Duran, Assemblyman Allison, Assemblyman Flores, Assemblywoman Gonzalez, Assemblywoman Gorlow, Assemblyman Hafen, Assemblywoman Hanson, Assemblywoman Hardy, Assemblywoman Howdigi, Assemblywoman Kasama, Assemblywoman Krasner, Assemblyman Levitt, Assemblywoman Martinez, Assemblywoman Marzola, Assemblyman Matthews, Assemblyman MacArthur, Assemblywoman Brittany Miller, Assemblyman C.H. Miller, Assemblywoman Monroe Moreno, Assemblywoman Wynn, Assemblyman O'Neill, Assemblyman Orentlicker, Assemblywoman Peters, Assemblyman Roberts, Assemblywoman Summers Armstrong, Assemblywoman Thomas, Assemblywoman Titus, Assemblywoman Tolles, Assemblywoman Torres, Assemblyman Watts, Assemblyman Wheeler, Assemblyman Yeager, Assemblywoman Howdigi, Speaker Frierson.
Here, Assemblywoman Benitez-Thompson.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. May the record reflect that all members are present.
The record shall show reflect there are 42 members present. There is a quorum. The assembly will please rise for the prayer by President Rajan Zed of the Universal Society of Hinduism in Reno.
As Speaker Frierson suggested yesterday, members are welcome to join me in closing the prayer with Om, if you so choose. Om. Bhurvavah Svah Tat Saviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Diyo Yo Na Prachodayat. We meditate on the transcendental glory of the Deity Supreme, who's inside the heart of the earth, inside the life of the sky, and inside the soul of the heaven. May He stimulate and illuminate our minds. Varma Ma Deva Prithvi Varma Har Varma Surya Varma Me Vishwe Deva Kranma Ma Prapat Pratichika. Let the energy derived from the earth as well as from the cosmos, the day and the sun, be all a shield for us. Let all the divine things and beings protect us, so that no evil or misfortune befall us. Atma Upa Mayana Sravat Ra Sammam Pasyati Sukham Vayadi Vadukham Sayogi Pramomata. When a person responds to the joys and sorrows of others as if they were his own, he has attained the highest spiritual union. Ya eko varno bahuda sakti yogad varnan anekan nihit artho dadati vicha iti chante Vishwam Adao Sa Deva Sa Nam Buddhya Subhya Sam Yunaktu. He who is one without any color by the manifold exercise of his power distributes many colors in his hidden purpose, and into whom in the beginning and in the end the universe is gathered. May He endow us with a clear understanding. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Peace, peace, peace be unto all. Om. Thank you.
Thank you. Please remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance being led by second grade class at Richard J. Rundle Elementary School located in Assembly District 14. Thank you very much. Order business 2, reading and approval of the journal.
Carson City, Tuesday, March 23rd,
Mr. Speaker?
2021.
Assemblywoman Benitez Thompson.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move to dispense with further reading of the journal and authorize the Speaker and Chief Clerk to make necessary corrections and additions.
You've heard the motion. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Go to order business 7, messages from the Senate.
Senate Chamber, Carson City, March 23rd, 2021. To the Honorable the Assembly, I have the honor to inform the Honorable Body that the Senate on this day passed Senate Bills 9, 35, 58. And I have the honor to inform the Honorable Body that the Senate on this day passed Senate Joint Resolution 8 of the 80th session. Sherry Rodriguez, Assistant Secretary of the Senate.
Go to order business 8, motions, resolutions, and notices.
Senate Joint Resolution 8 of the 80th session, introduced by Senators Canizaro et al., proposing to amend the Nevada Constitution to guarantee equal rights. Section 24, equality of rights under the law shall not be denied or abridged by this state or any of its political subdivisions on account of race, color, creed, sex, sexual orientation, gender identity or expression, age, disability, ancestry, or national origin. End of resolution.
Wait on some lights. Assemblywoman Benitez Thompson.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move that the Assembly adopt Senate Joint Resolution number 8.
Sorry. Chief Clerk had the script ready for me right here.
Thank you.
We go back to order business 8. Are there any amendments to the resolution?
There are none.
Remarks. Assemblywoman Carlton.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Today I rise in support of SJR number 8. Especially today, it's so apropos on Equal Pay Day. On Equal Pay Day, I usually share a story of my mother. So if you will allow me this one last time in this chamber to share this story. So growing up, she would tell the story of going to work back in about 1954, 1955, for the railroad. It was an excellent job for a young woman to have. The railroad paid very, very well. If you grew up in St. Louis and went to work for the railroad or for the brewery, you pretty much had it made in the city of St. Louis. But the one thing she had to do was take off her engagement ring every day that she went to work, because you couldn't be engaged and work at the railroad. You'd get fired. So she put that engagement ring in a little tissue and in a little coin purse. A number of years, or I think it might have just been last session, we gave out red coin purses to the freshmen for the first year that this legislature was controlled by a female majority. And that was in honor of her having to put that ring away. So she ended up getting my parents married in April of '56. And my mother continued to take that wedding ring off every day when she went to work, even after being married, because she loved to tease my father that she made more than he did. He had just come back from Korea and they were saving for a house, and she was going to keep working because she was making enough money to help save for that house. Well, after she became pregnant with me, she was no longer being able to hide that. So they asked for her resignation, and the reason why she lost her job is she got married and got pregnant. Thank goodness we're not there anymore. That is why I am in great support of this Equal Rights Amendment. We shouldn't have to fight to get good jobs. We shouldn't have to fight to keep good jobs, and we shouldn't have to choose between our career and our family. So on this Equal Pay Day, there's a couple of statistics that go along with this. So the year I graduated from high school in 1975, and yes, I am old, women earned 59 cents on every dollar that men earned. When I served my first term in the Senate in '99, we'd made it up to 72 cents. When I served my first term in this body, we were up to 77 cents. And today, on average, we're at 82 cents. We're making progress. It's slow but sure. But I am so thankful that my daughters and maybe someday my granddaughters, if I get lucky enough to have them, will not have to fight to keep their jobs. And they won't have to talk about this anymore because they'll be at 100%. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Any further remarks? Assemblywoman Hanson.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I actually have a question, and I've not done this before. Do I ask it in order of business 8, or do I ask to go to order of business 15 for a question about the motion?
I'll recognize you having a question. Who is the question for?
Actually, for the speaker, I'm wondering if we could have clarified, since there's a lot of freshmen, why is this bill, this SJR 8, not going to committee, or if we're going to general file for it today?
It's the prerogative of the speaker with respect to SJR 8. This isn't a rule that we're violating or waiving. We can send a resolution from the previous legislative session directly to committee, or we can read and adopt, and we have selected to read and adopt for today.
I appreciate the clarification. So the freshmen who've not had an opportunity to necessarily understand the bill will be required to vote today?
That's correct, and I actually have provided your leader with advance notice and opportunity to let your caucus know in advance that this was occurring for the very purpose of being able to read a very short Senate joint resolution establishing equality in Nevada.
Thank you.
Any further remarks? There being none, the Chief Clerk will open the roll. Anyone wishing to change their vote? There are 30 ayes, 12 nays. The bill having received the Constitutional majority, declared passed and the order transmitted to the Senate.
Notice of exemption, March 23rd, 2021. The Fiscal Analysis Division, pursuant to Joint Standing Rule 14.6, has determined the exemption of Assembly Bill 381. Sarah Kaufman, Fiscal Analysis Division. Notice of exemption, March 24, 2021. The Fiscal Analysis Division, pursuant to Joint Standing Rule 14.6, has determined the eligibility for exemption of Assembly Bill 241. Sarah Kaufman, Fiscal Analysis Division.
Go to order of business 9, introduction, first reading, and reference to bills.
Assembly Bill 389, introduced by Assemblyman Ellison, an act relating to tobacco products, revising provisions governing the imposition and payment of the tax on certain tobacco products and providing other matters properly relating thereto. Assembly Bill 390, introduced by the Committee on Legislative Operations and Elections, an act relating to elections requiring notice of a contest of an election to be provided to the candidate whose election is being contested and providing other matters properly relating thereto. Assembly Bill 391, introduced by Assemblywoman Anderson, an act relating to dispensing opticians, authorizing the Board of Dispensing Opticians to employ an executive director, providing immunity from civil liability to the board and any of its members, staff, and employees for certain acts, expanding the purposes for which the board is authorized to accept gifts, grants, donations, and contributions, requiring the board to perform certain duties relating to the issuance, renewal, reinstatement, revocation, and suspension of licenses, prescribing requirements for the submission of an application for licensure, requiring the board to adopt certain regulations relating to licensure, prescribing criteria for eligibility for a license as an apprentice, dispensing optician, clarifying certain requirements relating to the eligibility for a limited license as a dispensing optician, revising criteria for eligibility for a license as a dispensing optician, removing the authority of the board to issue a special license as a dispensing optician, reorganizing certain provisions, increasing the amount of the administrative fine for engaging in certain activity without holding a license, and providing other matters properly in there too. Assembly Bill 392, introduced by the Committee on Judiciary, an act relating to data collection, requiring the Legislative Council Bureau to enter into an agreement with a qualified consultant to analyze certain data submitted to the Legislative Council Bureau concerning traffic stops and other stops, and providing other matters properly relating thereto. Assembly Bill 393, introduced by the Committee on Judiciary, an act relating to criminal justice, requiring the Executive Director of the Department of Sentencing Policy to assist the Nevada Sentencing Commission in carrying out certain duties, revising provisions relating to certain reports prepared by the Commission, authorizing the Commission to adopt qualifications for members of the Nevada Local Justice Reinvestment Coordinating Council, revising provisions concerning reports of pre-sentence investigations, revising provisions relating to parolees and probationers, removing and replacing certain obsolete terminology, revising provisions concerning the embezzlement of a vehicle, and certain marijuana-related offenses, repealing provisions relating to inquiries to determine probable cause when a probationer is in custody for a violation of a condition of probation, repealing provisions requiring the Chief Parole and Probation Officer of the Division of Parole and Probation of the Department of Public Safety to adopt standards to assist in formulating a recommendation concerning the granting of probation or the revocation of parole or probation, providing penalties and providing other matters properly relating thereto. Assembly Bill 394, introduced by the Committee on Judiciary, an act relating to civil actions, providing that members of a mobile crisis response team are immune from civil liability under certain circumstances and providing other matters properly relating thereto. Assembly Bill 395, introduced by the Committee on Judiciary, an act relating to crimes, abolishing the imposition of a sentence of death on a person convicted of first-degree murder, amending or repealing related statutes pertaining to the existence, imposition, and execution of a sentence of death on a person convicted of first-degree murder, reducing the sentence of any person sentenced to death to a sentence of imprisonment for life without the possibility of parole, and providing other matters properly relating thereto. Assembly Bill 396, introduced by the Committee on Judiciary, an act relating to peace officers, revising provisions relating to justifiable homicide, revising provisions relating to the use of deadly force to effectuate an arrest, and providing other matters properly relating thereto. Assembly Bill 397, introduced by the Committee on Government Affairs, an act relating to county clerks, requiring the county clerk to pay certain fees to the county treasurer on or before the 5th day of the month, revising the permissible use of certain fees collected by a county clerk, eliminating certain provisions related to the issuance of a marriage license during certain office hours or during other hours as by a commercial wedding chapel, requiring that a county clerk in certain counties issue a marriage license during certain hours, making various other changes relating to county clerks and providing other matters properly relating thereto. Senate Bill 9, introduced by the Committee on Judiciary, an act relating to securities, creating an exemption from licensing requirements for investment advisors to certain private funds and providing other matters properly relating thereto. Senate Bill 35, introduced by the Committee on Commerce and Labor, an act relating to Private Investigators Licensing Board, abolishing the fund for the Private Investigators Licensing Board, requiring certain money collected by the board to be deposited in certain financial institutions and providing other matters properly relating thereto. Senate Bill 58, introduced by the Committee on Growth and Infrastructure, an act relating to public safety, revising certain functions and responsibilities of the Investigation Division of the Department of Health and Department of Public Safety and the Chief of the Investigation Division, and providing other matters properly relating thereto.
Assemblywoman Benita Thompson.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move that Assembly Bill 89 through Assembly Bill 97, Senate Bill 9, Senate Bill 35, and Senate Bill 58 be referred to the committees as shown on Assembly Bill Introductions dated March 24, 2001, of which all members have a copy of on their desk.
You've heard the motion. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Go to Order Business 13, unfinished business of the preceding day. There being no objection, the Speaker and the Chief Clerk will sign Senate Bill 83. We'll now go to Order Business 15. Remarks. Oh, lots of lights. Assemblyman Roberts.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd like to take a moment to remember Officer Eric Talley of the Boulder Police Department in Colorado. Officer Talley was a 10-year veteran. He lost his life responding to the Boulder, Colorado shooting 2 days ago. He was the first to arrive and confront the shooter, but quickly lost his life in the confrontation with the shooter. Officer Talley was 51, leaves behind a wife and 7 children. Mr. Speaker, I ask for a brief moment of silence in the memory of his sacrifice and service to his community. Thank you.
Thank you, Assemblyman. Go to Assemblywoman Hardy.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise in support of Hunger Awareness Day at the Legislature. This last year has tested the resolve and character of our community, and we rose to the challenge. Every day, heroes emerged from our communities, even when the virus was barely understood. Through the sheer innovation and perseverance of everyday people, we made it through together. A vast undertaking from community members and nonprofits protected our vulnerable populations and delivered groceries and supplies to our elderly and sick. Demand for food assistance skyrocketed from people who needed help for the first time. To all those who rose to the occasion and donated their time, money, and effort into helping out fellow Nevadans, thank you from the bottom of our hearts. I know that many of us in this chamber today participated in the last year in delivering groceries and supplies to those in need. And I think I can speak for all of us that performing that service brought, I guess, a sense of joy and satisfaction in being able to serve those that needed us most. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Assemblywoman Torres.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Order Business 15.
Order Business 15.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I too rise in support and recognition of Hunger Awareness Day within this legislative body. Food insecurity is one of the biggest underlying threats to Nevada households, and unfortunately, it disproportionately impacts children within communities of color. In fact, 1 in 5 Nevada children still don't know where their next meal is coming from. Many of those children sit in my classroom every single day. The economic impact of COVID-19 has only exacerbated this issue within at-risk households in our community. Before the pandemic, 380,000 Nevadans struggled with hunger. And that number has swelled to nearly 500,000 people today. This past year, the Nevada Hispanic Legislative Caucus, in partnership with the Nevada Black Legislative Caucus, Puentes Las Vegas, Mi Familia Vota, and the UNLV School of Medicine, partnered to deliver over 56,000 meals to Nevadans who are quarantined or tested positive during COVID-19. I'm proud that our community continues to come together to provide relief to those who need it most, especially during a time where we're all faced with economic uncertainty. But this is only a drop in the bucket when it comes to overcoming our hunger crisis. Tackling hunger within our state needs to be a collaborative effort among my colleagues in this building. It needs to be a collaborative effort with food distribution organizations and volunteers in our community. Hunger awareness requires bold legislative action. As legislators, it's our time for us to step up to the plate and work to make sure that no Nevadan goes hungry.
Assemblywoman Marzola.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Order Business 15.
Order Business 15.
Thank you. I rise in honor of Equal Pay Day. Women's Equal Pay Day marks the day into the year in which it takes for a woman, on average, to earn what men did in 2020. Today, more than ever, women are in the labor force and pursuing higher education across all fields of study. On average, women earn 82 cents for every dollar earned by men. Let's not forget that some of these women are single moms trying to feed their children and keep their power on. But despite our progress, there is still a significant wage gap between men and women, especially women of color. The financial impact of COVID-19 has only magnified the disparity between what men and women have lost. Women are taking on more work at home, from helping kids with school, caring for loved ones, and other household duties that come with working from home and virtual learning. COVID is only hitting women's jobs harder. In December, women accounted for all the jobs lost across the United States, while men gained 16,000 jobs. This month, we also celebrate Women's History Month. It is important to reflect on how far we have progressed. Just look around this room. Yet, let's recognize the work we still need to do. The work that we do as women is invaluable, and we have proven as such within our female majority legislature through the legislation we have passed in the benefits of all Nevadans. Let us continue the work to close the gap, the pay gap, and pursue equity for all.
Assemblywoman Benitez Thompson.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Seeing no other business before us, I would move that the Assembly stand adjourned until Thursday, March 25th, 2021, at the hour of 11:30 a.m.
You heard the motion. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. We are adjourned.